It's not all on the women, right, per se. It's about the man too. It's like, bro, how are you carrying yourself on a day-to-day basis? How are you treating others? I'm a strong proponent, bro, of how you act in this world, how you carry yourself, your male posture is what you get in return. If you stand tall and you're firm and you're 10 toes down and you move a certain way with that aura, people just naturally give you the respect, bro. You don't even have to ask for it. You don't even have to be like the most swole dude, you know, in the male pack. But if you carry yourself a certain way with a certain charisma, with a certain swag, with a certain maturity, I feel like naturally that respect just comes by proxy of the way you carry yourself.
Rich, we had mentioned this on many other episodes. We're about 20 episodes into the Failures Podcast catalog. We can source 4 or 5 episodes that are strictly about this subject you just touched on. And I feel more liberated and more free to speak with a strong direction to our young male viewers because I can be accountable for giving direction to those guys. I am not accountable, nor will I ever think I'm in control of how the rest of the world decides to act towards me. But rule number 1, Rich, you just said it. How you show up to the world is how you tell the world to treat you. And if this episode is called The Respect Gap, we've already gotten into actionable advice. How you conduct yourself is how the world treats you. So if you act like a people pleaser that needs everybody to validate everything in your life for you in order for you to exist, then you've fallen into the fucking victim's mentality. The way the world treats me is how I show up. That's reverse. How you show up is how the world treats you. So I don't want to be too hard on the women that these men are in relationships with, nor do I want to be too hard on the bully ass boss or coworker who's constantly eating your lunch and overlooking you for promotions. But if you let a motherfucker eat your lunch every day and overlook you for promotions every quarter, deny your vacations, tell you to stay at work late, but don't ever give you any rewards, accolades, or appreciation, you've chosen the relationship to stay in to be disrespected, my boy. So this part of the conversation is important because the episode title is The Respect Gap. How do you gain that respect? Rich, why do you think how you conduct yourself is so crucial?
It's how the world sees you, bro. You hit the nail right on the head, especially at work, right? If you're the type of guy who's always being overlooked, always doing all the overtimes, working all the weekends, every time they need something from you, you're always there. Like, that's great. But the problem is when you're that resourceful, sometimes people take advantage of that. Your colleagues are not getting the same treatment, right? It's just like Jonathan over there, like he's always down to do the overtime, always down to work the weekends, work the graveyard shifts. You have to be able to identify that, bro. Like, you know what's interesting? Like, sometimes it's also a situation where they're taking your kindness for weakness. That's part of the respect gap. It's like you could be nice as a person, but if you're too nice, then people start to take advantage of you. That's why I think the construct of your male posture needs to be on point. You know, you have to carry yourself with a certain level of maturity so that you're not looked upon as that pushover. Think of like a dude who's just always goofy, always making jokes, carries this like funny, silly demeanor. No one ever takes you serious. And that unseriousness of the way you carry yourself makes people think of you as a joke. And when they think of you as a joke, you're not looked upon as someone who should be respected.
I dated a girl when I was younger who took a self-defense class. And because we were living in New York, majority of the people there commute without a car. So you're constantly exposed to the public at large. So you're taking the train midnight, there's random people on the train. So a lot of women, it's a very safe city if you really think about it because there's a lot of people around. But the point I'm trying to make is that she took a self-defense course because she wanted to be prepared if anything came up. And one piece of information she gave me from that self-defense course that made me think about what you just said, Rich, was most attackers or people who do hand-to-hand or street robberies are people that can identify someone who's weaker than the larger group. And outside of the male-female dynamic, which I don't want to get into, but an attacker is very keen to the type of person that he feels will not resist or will not fight back or is not prepared to resist or fight back. And it made me think about everyday life bullies. Even though they're not stealing from you or being predators in the outside world, I think that psychology works in both ways. A person is only going to continuously bully somebody that doesn't fight back or doesn't have the body posture, the energy, energy, the air to how they move through the office to being bullied. You look very bullyable. You are very agreeable. So that's why you keep getting got. And I believe those two things are correlated. And you may not know it, Rich, but you saying how you show up in the world is so important to how people treat you.
Yeah, we often made reference to taking a self snapshot in a lot of different phases of this male domain. And I think that this topic is no different, right? If you think of yourself and wonder, damn, why am I not being respected by my parents, by my siblings, by my partner, by my boss? You have to take a self snapshot and realize and sort of like internalize the characteristics of who you are as a person and how you're navigating in this world. Because chances are, if you're lacking in maturity, if they're looking at you like this just silly dude who's never accountable and just navigating the world sort of ad hoc with no plan, no one ever takes you serious. So I was like reverting back to the self snapshot because I feel like that's step one. It's like review yourself, understand that there's things about your personality that may be lacking as to why people are not respecting you.
Listen, one thing I just wrote down here, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned it before we moved on, is respect is never negotiated. As long as I've been alive, anybody that's been in a leadership role at any form or facet or level of my life, all the way from middle school, all the way to 39 years old, if I voluntarily have followed someone into the flames, whether that's work, whether that's sports, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a friendship, I have to know this person is capable. So I don't know anyone that negotiated that respect with me and said, in a huddle during a football game, we're down 5 and we need to score this touchdown to win. And they said, hey guys, please, I know it's rough right now, but please believe me. I would really appreciate it if everybody in this huddle believed that I was capable of it. And if you don't believe me, we could talk after practice and I can let you know why you should believe me and why you think I should be your leader. Here's a 15-slide PowerPoint presentation on why I'm a good leader. Great leadership and people who are to be respected just exude that energy. They don't negotiate it. And I think any man that tries to negotiate respect or go on Reddit or go on any Discord or go on any small private community where you can vent about how you're constantly being disrespected, yeah, you can get some pointers in those communities, but the truth is that shit is never negotiated. Leadership and respect are never negotiated. So stop asking for it and start demanding it. And how do you demand it? Rich and I will get through a whole bunch of tips, tricks, hacks, actionable advice on how to do that. But I think mentally understanding that up front is very important because it goes back to what we've discussed in previous episodes. Once you accept that you're the victim, it's over, because there's a big difference between a man who is drowning and is continuing to swim versus a man who stopped swimming. You're dead. You're no longer drowning. So this is a podcast, an episode dedicated to the person that wants to fight for respect. And I think one thing that's very important is that respect is earned. You don't negotiate respect. You don't negotiate leadership. It's already known by how you present and how you conduct yourself.